Here's a psychological fact you're not ready for. People who prefer being alone don't have a social problem. They have a psychological advantage that few develop. Psychologists call this dominant internal orientation, and once you understand it, you'll see why you feel drained around people, why you value your space so much, and why solitude doesn't weigh on you. It calms you. Most people think there's something wrong with preferring solitude. Society has taught us that being social equals being healthy, that wanting to be alone is a red flag, that if you're not constantly surrounded by people, you're somehow broken or incomplete. But what if I told you that's backwards? What if the people who can't stand being alone are the ones avoiding something crucial? Today, I'm going to break down 9 psychological traits that science has identified in people who prefer solitude. And by the end of this video, you will understand why your preference for being alone isn't a weakness, it's a strength that most people will never develop. Trait 1. They don't need constant validation. But people who prefer being alone develop something uncommon. Their personal worth doesn't depend on external opinion. They don't need constant approval to feel secure. They don't live waiting for responses, messages, or recognition to confirm that they matter. While many people get anxious if they don't receive immediate attention, solitary individuals can go hours, days, or even weeks without social stimulus, without their self-esteem crumbling. This happens because their identity is built from within, not from without. Psychologically, this is called self-validation. It doesn't mean they don't care what others think. It means they don't define themselves by it, and this difference changes everything. They don't betray themselves to fit in. They don't over-explain. They don't adapt to environments that drain them. They prefer being alone rather than in bad company because they already keep themselves company. Trait 2. They observe more than they speak. Those who prefer solitude are usually silent observers, not because they're shy, but because they understand something key. Talking less allows you to see more. While others react, they analyze. While others fill silence out of nervousness, they use it to understand dynamics, emotions, and contradictions. This trait allows them to detect hidden intentions, emotional inconsistencies, repeated behavioral patterns. That's why they often seem distant. They're not. They're simply processing more information than they show. Trait 3. Their social energy is limited. Not everyone recharges by socializing. For those who prefer being alone, constant interaction is draining. It's not rejection of people. It's sensitivity to stimulation. They know their mental and emotional energy is finite, and they guard it with precision. They can enjoy deep conversations, but quickly exhaust themselves in superficial, noisy, or chaotic environments. This trait is a sign of high internal awareness. They know when to withdraw before becoming saturated, and that prevents conflicts, emotional explosions, and forced relationships. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. If you can't stand being alone, it's not because you lack people. It's because you lack connection with yourself. Trait 4. They think too much and too deep. Solitary people tend to be deep thinkers. They don't accept things as they're told. They question, analyze, reframe. They ask themselves, why do I feel this? Where does this pattern come from? Do I really want this life? This level of introspection isn't common, and it's not comfortable either. Thinking deeply means confronting your contradictions, your fears, and your past decisions. That's why many people avoid being alone, because silence forces you to think. Those who prefer solitude don't run from that. They go through it. Hold on. If this video is giving you clarity, hit that subscribe button right now. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. This isn't just a number. It's a community of people who want to understand themselves better. Smash that like button too. It helps this content reach more people who need to hear this truth that nobody else is talking about. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Do you relate to these traits? Have you experienced similar situations? I want to hear your story. Now let's dive into the most powerful traits, the ones that will completely change how you see yourself. Trait 5. They're comfortable in silence. Silence is unbearable for many people. For them, it's necessary. In silence, there's no distraction, no masks, no external noise to cover what's internal. People who prefer being alone use silence to organize thoughts, process emotions, recover mental clarity. They don't distract themselves to escape from themselves. They sit with themselves. This trait indicates high tolerance for introspection, an advanced psychological skill. And here comes the part nobody wants to admit. Many people fear solitude because silence reflects back a version of themselves they don't want to see. Trait 6. They're extremely selective with their bonds. Solitary people don't seek quantity. They seek quality. They don't enter relationships out of fear of being alone. They don't cling to bonds that drain their energy. This means they have few friends, but much more authentic relationships. They prefer one honest conversation over 10 superficial ones, and if they don't find that level of connection, they don't force anything. Being alone doesn't scare them. Being in bad company does. Trait 7. They have high emotional intelligence. Spending time alone forces you to know yourself, and knowing yourself develops emotional intelligence. These people identify what they feel, understand why they feel it, know how to manage it. They don't react impulsively. They process before acting. That's why they usually set clear boundaries, withdraw without drama. Don't get hooked into unnecessary conflicts, not because they don't feel, but because they understand their emotions. If this makes you uncomfortable, good, because here's the truth. Many avoid. Conscious solitude is a sign of emotional maturity, not failure. Trait 8. They develop independent thinking. Solitude strengthens the mind, giving it space to think without constant influence. People who prefer being alone, usually question social norms, think for themselves. Don't follow the crowd. This makes them creative, but also difficult to manipulate. They don't accept ideas just because they're popular. They analyze them, and that makes people uncomfortable, especially those who need constant approval. Trait 9. They protect their peace above all else. This is the final and most powerful trait. People who prefer being alone value mental peace more than any relationship. They don't argue out of ego. They don't compete for attention. They don't chase chaos. They understood something essential. Inner tranquility is a form of wealth, and when something threatens that peace, they withdraw without explanations, not out of coldness but out of self-love. The uncomfortable truth. Let me tell you something. Psychology reveals something very different. There are people who don't run from others. They simply don't need them to feel complete. And for a society dependent on validation, that's deeply uncomfortable. If you identify with these traits, don't think there's something wrong with you. Maybe you simply developed what others still avoid. Solitude isn't pulling you away from the world. It's bringing you closer to yourself, what this means for you. If you prefer being alone, don't try to change yourself. Learn to manage yourself. Protect your energy. Choose carefully who you let in. Stop apologizing for needing space. Here's the mental trick that really works. Your way of being isn't a defect. It's a different configuration. And when you accept it, you stop fighting yourself and start using it as a strength. Let's be clear about something. The world is going to keep telling you that you need to be more social, more outgoing, more available, that you need to have hundreds of friends and be constantly connected. But you know what? That's their path, not yours. Your preference for solitude isn't something to fix, it's something to embrace. It's a sign that you've developed psychological traits that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Self-validation instead of external approval, deep thinking instead of surface-level reactions, quality connections instead of quantity, inner peace instead of external chaos. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're not missing out. You're simply operating on a different frequency. One that prioritizes depth over breadth, quality over quantity, and authenticity over appearance. Here's what I want you to remember. When you understand your mind, nobody can control it. When you accept your nature, nobody can shame you for it. And when you protect your peace, nobody can steal it from you. So stop apologizing. Stop explaining. Stop trying to fit into a mold that was never designed for you. If this video gave you clarity, here's what I need you to do. Hit that like button right now. It helps this message reach people who desperately need to hear it. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Every single subscription matters. We're building a community of people who refuse to apologize for understanding themselves. Leave a comment. Tell me which trait resonated most with you. Share your experience. Your voice matters here. Share this video. You know someone who needs to hear this. Someone who's been made to feel wrong for preferring solitude. Send it to them right now. The world will keep selling you the idea that you need to change. I'll keep showing you why you don't. See you in the next video. Until then, protect your peace, honor your nature, and never apologize for knowing yourself. Peace.